Trust, audience, why does it matter? And this is a very interesting spot that Jon Jones is in. And Jon Jones and the bridge to the audience, they got absolutely blown up in the last 13 days. I mean, those were 13 mysterious days, and now we can't trust Jon. All right, hold that thought. Chael's childhood. The year was 1989. The athlete, rest his soul, is Jim Hellwig, who performed under the moniker The Ultimate Warrior. And he simply didn't show up. He would be booked. Vince and the organization would book him. He would be booked for towns. They would sell tickets. He was a huge draw. They move a lot of merchandise. They've had kids that would wake up in the morning and say, "Dad, are you going to take me down there? I'm going to see the Ultimate Warrior today." It was a big deal, and he just wouldn't show. And the internet wasn't a thing back then, so this isn't where you could put the word out. The way that you found out that Warrior was not coming, your main event that you've been so excited for, is when you actually got to the arena. And his name was the Fink. And the Fink would take the microphone right at the beginning. It was the very first thing that he would do. "Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to inform you, Ultimate Warrior will not be here tonight." That's exactly how it worked. And then you just get you get this sigh, and everybody's let down, and then the golden rule is followed, and the show must go on. But before we do that to Jon Jones, has Jon ever lied to us? I mean, what is it that is so hard to believe if Jon Jones says, "I'm coming back," and agrees to fight somebody? Do you have an example from Jon's past where he has agreed to fight somebody and then didn't? Or do you have a whole bunch of times from Jon's past where you were pissed off that he didn't agree to do something that you wanted him to do? Because see, it's very opposite in trust. I mean, not for nothing, Jon Jones told us in November of last year, post-fight to his glorious victory over Stipe, "I'm not interested in fighting Tom. I'm not agreeing to fight Tom. I'm not going to fight Tom unless..." We could bring all the things that came out of his mouth, but then there was follow-up interviews. Jon said, "I'm really not interested in Tom. I don't think I'm going to give him the opportunity." Then there's follow-up interviews. Jon said one time, "There's not enough footage out there on Tom. He's gone out and he's knocked all these guys out so fast, I don't really have an ability to sit down and study for him. So go get him a couple of more fights, add to the minutes, show me some more positions, let me learn a little bit more about this guy." And all of a sudden comes the day when Jon vacates the title, leaves the sport, gets removed from the testing pool. Then there's 13 mysterious days, which we do not know what happened in those 13 days. We do know what didn't happen. We do know nowhere in those 13 days publicly was Tom Aspinall given a fight. And I got to word it like that, because I believe that Tom and his next fight, no, I believe they're signed. I believe they even have a date. I believe that date is going to be November of this year in a location of Madison Square Garden. I believe those things. It hasn't been revealed to us. Now, in the in-between of a decision being made and it not being revealed to us, there is a possibility, no matter how small, that it gets undone and something else gets put together. And historically, there is a couple of examples where I could tell you that happened. So, if the resistance to Jon right now is a trust issue, that you don't know that you can count on him, I maintain this is what severed the relationship between Conor McGregor and the UFC. It was not just the discolored pinky toe that may or may not belong to Conor and may or may not be broken. It was a trust. Aram Sarukian, and I realize Arman's worked through it. But the issue was not reporting to the scale or not having the fight with Islam. The issue was a trust, which is, you said you were gonna. Now, asking and questioning your reasons or excuses for not doing it, that's a separate thing. You said you were gonna. So I told the audience that you were gonna. And here's where the trust issue comes. And I gotta just tell you, did Jon ever lie? I don't remember a time in history that Jon Jones said that he would fight. He didn't show up. I did business with Jon myself, wanted to do a grappling match against Dan Henderson. He'd come out to Portland, Oregon in the Roseland Theater. And from the time that Jon said yes to me over the phone, and the time that it was Jon's time to report to the venue for weigh-ins, I never heard from him. And I tried. I needed assurance and I needed reassurance. I needed to hear his voice and hear how training's going. I just needed that. I needed some kind of assurance. And Jon walked in the building that day and I said to him, Jon, I haven't been able to get a hold of you in 5 weeks. And he was very polite. He said this very politely, but he said, Chael, after we agree to something, you don't need to hear from me. If I ever tell you I'm going to do it, I'll do it. I'll never agree to something and not go through it. I remember Jon telling me this. And I remember standing there looking at him. And I shook his hand and I thanked him. And to this day, I can't disprove that statement. To this day, I can't think of anything. Right, you got to understand, if Jon jumped in there and fought Tom, that would be Jon doing the opposite of what he said. Jon told us from the beginning, I'm not fighting Tom. Or if I do fight him, I'm not fighting him next. And even if it's next for me, it won't be next for him. And I'm not holding anything up. He's got an interim belt. Go defend the damn thing. You already did it once. Go on. You don't need me. And as annoyed as you might have been by those answers, those were his answers. As annoyed as you might be by those comments, those were still the comments. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of wiggle room to Jon and trust in the audience. I acknowledge there is a problem right now. I acknowledge the level of excitement that you would get if you made that announcement isn't the same as it would have been without those 13 mysterious days. But if the piece of the puzzle that's missing is trust, I think you'd find yourself up against the wall if you had to state for the jury what it is Jon was not truthful about. So it's an interesting position, the return of Jon Jones. Can you use him? Can you book him? And don't come out and tell me what a draw and what a star he is. There is no math that will back your statement. No matter how good somebody is, you're much better to have somebody else that will do it 3 times in a year, as opposed to a guy that will take a 3-year break. It doesn't pencil the same. Your calculator and your math is off. Jon the contender doesn't really work. Jon in a number 1 contendership match for a fight that he's already been offered, for a belt that he already relinquished. It doesn't quite work. And there's a big trust issue. But my question to you right now is, should there be?